Hey guys, welcome back. So in my bullet journaling 101 class, that's where I really explained like what a bullet journal is, and I like flipped through a lot of my journals. Today is not going to be like that. We're going to be like actually bullet journaling together. My definition of a bullet journal is a planner that you will plan on keeping, so it becomes like a planner and journal in one. Most people though get drawn into bullet journaling because they see this artistic side. Lately, I've just been deciding that this is my art. Bullet journaling is my art. I also love teaching. So like I am just going to be teaching and sharing about my art. Honestly, it took me a while to admit that I was someone who is artistic. So this is my art. I'm excited to share it with you, and let's dive in. So if you attended the class last week, or last class, wasn't last week, but a few weeks ago, then you know that I was a high school math teacher, and I was saying that I actually didn't use the whiteboard very much. I used what's called a document camera, which is basically like you look over like your notes, and the students, I would usually like print out a handout for the students, and they would like, it would be sort of like guided notes, or I would just give them like a blank piece of paper and they would just like take notes with me. So that's what we're doing today. Is I actually have a completely blank piece of paper. So if you have a bullet journal and it's a blank dot grid bullet journal, pull it out and we're going to do a spread together. If you don't have a bullet journal, just get a blank piece of paper out, grab a pen, grab your favorite supplies. We are going to do a bullet journal spread together and like learn about the art of bullet journaling together. So here is my blank piece of paper. If you don't have a blank piece of paper and you have a dot grid or a bullet journal blank dot grid page, that's great. I'm going to fold mine in half like this was a bullet journal, so that I kind of like have where the middle would be. And I am going to get started. So before I even get started though, I'm going to be basically sharing with you all of my kind of tips and go-tos that I like to do when I'm bullet journaling. And again, I've done this for a while. And so my like system is pretty like what I want it to be. And so I want you to just like take this as like, this is what I do. This is what Krista does, but I want you to like find your own way of making it your own, if that makes sense. Because I don't want you to just like copy me. I want this to be like something that works for you. So the lettering styles and the lettering and anything that I'm going over, I just want you to like listen to what I'm saying, but also like take it with your own like creativity, put your own spin on it, because that's basically what I've done too. Let's get to it. So I'm going to start by just labeling this the art of bullet journaling, and I'm going to do a little bit of lettering that I like. So you can maybe like watch first and then like copy if you want to, but I'll just kind of like show you just like two of the lettering styles I like when I like do just like the title that I plan on doing this. So we're going to call this the art of bullet journaling. So one of my favorite lettering styles is, what do we call this? We'll give it a name here, but I just like, I want it to be like a font almost of my own font. And that's the other thing I'll say is like, I personally think that like your handwriting / my handwriting is cute. I mean, like I want it to just like be a reflection of your handwriting. I don't want you to feel like you have to like do something you normally do. So like, this is like my handwriting, but just like a little bit elevated. So like no stress, make it your own. So usually the one that I do is almost kind of like a Times New Roman-y font. Oh gosh, I didn't give myself space there. So what I do is I put a line down, and any lines that are going down, I like thicken it so that I can color it in later. And I put things on the bottom. I'm getting nervous here. I'm gonna restart. That was my warm-up. Oh.
And
Okay.
you're using a dot grid?
I am not using dot grid. I'm just using a blank page. Should I use a dot grid? Do you think?
No, it doesn't matter. I
I
have
just
both
want it to be
licenses.
like anyone can do this. So do it in your bullet journal or do it on a blank paper. Either way.
Yeah,
Okay. Ooh, shaking
I'll
off.
do it in blank.
Okay. So just like watch me do and then I can talk about how I do it because I'm like getting.
Okay.
So I usually like round my T's like this. And then I like to, any of the downstrokes, I make it a little bit thicker so I can like color it in. And any of the like tops or bottoms of the letter, I like to like add a little fanciness to. So it'll look cuter as I like go along. And again, it's not perfect. I'm not expecting myself to be perfect. In fact, I'm like nervous right now for some reason. Okay, that looks terrible. But basically the gist is I kind of put basically spaces where I can color in. And this is like the one time that I will like color it in afterwards. Usually, I think I told you this last time, I like to put the color first and then my pen. But this time I just give myself enough time and I'll do it after. So I'm gonna do it again, like slowly get my this was nervous, but here's my A. I do one of these A's, right? Like the kind of weird lowercase a that not many people do anymore. And I just kind of give myself like a little bit of space where I can kind of color part of the letter. That one looks better. I'm a little more proud of that one. But honestly, like this is how it is with me is I'm like not trying to make it perfect. I actually usually do this really fast and like it's never really perfect because I just like want a cute enough font, but not like something that I'm stressing about. So I'm stressing about it right now because I'm like on camera doing this, but really I just kind of go fast and I just kind of like add little like lines here and there to just like make it a little bit cuter. And like there's no mistakes here, right? I honestly feel like with my bullet journal, there's just no mistakes. Anytime I make a mistake, it just means that I don't want to do that the next time. So for the O, I just kind of put two little lines on the sides here. So we're kind of just doing any downstroke or any almost like vertical-ish part of the letter is what I like thicken. And then that's pretty much it. So that's like one of the styles that I found I often use and I can do it kind of fast and I don't really care if there's mistakes because I just think it's fun. The mistakes like even make it. So I am gonna like a little bit switch a style when I write out the word bullet journaling. So like this is one of the styles that I often use. And then another style that I often use is something called faux calligraphy. And so if you've heard of calligraphy, you usually use like a calligraphy pen and like you, I don't know, pressurize it correctly so that like the downstrokes again are thicker than like your upstrokes. But I am terrible with that pen. I'm terrible at calligraphy. In fact, I did take an art class in high school and like there were some units where my artwork was pretty good, but the calligraphy one was like so bad. And that's funny because I love lettering. So I do what's called faux calligraphy or like false calligraphy, where I just like pretend that it's calligraphy. And it's very similar to this, where I just kind of like do my own cursive first. And then any of the downstrokes I thicken, and usually I'll just thicken it with the pen. So here I go. I'm just going to do cursive first for the word bullet, and then I'll go back and like make it a little bit more faux calligraphy like. So here's how my cursive looks. Again, you can make your cursive however you want, however your cursive looks. So there's my cursive bullet. And to make it a little bit more calligraphy-like, any of those downstrokes, I'm just going to basically do what I do here, but make it all black. So like, I'm going to kind of thicken this downstroke of a B. Do you know what I mean when I say downstroke?
Yeah.
When it goes down. So it's going down here, up, down here. So I'll just kind of thicken this part right here. And again, it really doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of making it, elevating it a little bit. Downstroke on the U here. Downstroke on this U. The L's go down right here. So now you can kind of see, oh, it's looking a little bit more calligraphy-like. But again, I'm just basically taking my cursive. I mean, I've tweaked my cursive a little bit to make it a little bit more calligraphy-like. Like normally my L's are just kind of like a straight like loop, but I kind of like curved the L. So I changed it a little bit. For the most part, this is like kind of how my cursive looks, and I'm just kind of elevating it with darkening those downstrokes.
Okay.
And the nice thing about like darkening the downstrokes is you can kind of like fix any mistakes you made. Like you can pick the side where it maybe needs to be thicker to like even it out a little bit. So, and again, not perfect, just kind of like elevates it a little bit and it like takes my like cursive and just makes it a little bit prettier. So I'm going to go ahead and do journaling next.
I forget how relaxing this is.
Yeah.
Just kind of playing with it.
Oh, for sure. I don't remember who I was saying this to, but I feel like sometimes with bullet journaling, one of the nice things about it is that you have to kind of set up the spreads first if you're making it from scratch or if you're like making it with a blank dot grid page. And so it makes like the planner side a little less stressful because you're not like going into it as like, oh, like what do I need to do? Like what's on my to-do list? What did I not do? It's just like, let me start with a little bit of coloring and then I can get into like okay, what's on my calendar? What's important for me to do this week? Then you get into like the intense planner side of it. So
I
yeah.
have a hard time with spacing. Like, I
Okay.
feel like I'm going to run out of the space for the word journaling.
Yeah, I think I made this a little bit too big. The art of mine is also kind of big here.
No, that looks good.
It looks okay here on mine. I don't know. You'll figure it out. It'll come.
I know.
And it's not, and you can like put it under like bullet journaling, like move the journaling under it if you don't think you have enough
Yeah.
space. If you haven't already started it.
Haven't started the journaling part, but
You know what letter I always struggle with is my N's. I don't feel like they're very cute. Again, I don't like claim to be the best calligraphist or calligraphy person. I just like to like take what I do, make it a little bit cuter with these little tricks.
I think this is about the practice, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just give myself a little more room so I'm not stressed about it.
Okay, I am almost done with my lettering here. This isn't, I'm gonna fix up some of the mistakes. Yeah, the N, I really struggle with the N. But besides that, I mean, if you glance at it, it's kind of like, okay, that's a title. It's not the same as your handwriting. Because honestly, like, I haven't like read this anywhere, but I feel like our handwriting says something about us. So I just think enhancing our natural handwriting is kind of fun. Okay, so we are gonna like take some notes, which will be really fun. But before we do that, let me just talk about like when people talk about like setting up their spreads. When they set it up, usually that means they like set up the whole page. So I'm gonna like set up the page first, and then we'll get into like some of the like notes things that I planned on going over. So like one of the, again, I go at this with like a what's the easiest thing for me to do. One of the like ways that I make a page a little bit cuter without doing really that much at all is I'll take one of my markers. So another thing I want you to do if you're listening to this class or watching it with me is pick like honestly at max 3 colors or even just 2 colors. Like pick a theme for this. Just like go with whatever color you're feeling in the moment. I'm gonna go with pink because I'm just like a pink person. And so pick 1 or 2 markers, and we're going to use markers to kind of like enhance this page just a little bit. So I think I mentioned this already. Since this is given like adequate time to like, I guess, dry, I'm going to go in with a marker and I am going to color those downstrokes. So with whatever theme I'm going with, which mine is pink, I'm just coloring in where I kind of like left it open. Of course, you can leave it open if you want it to be white. But one of the things that I like to do is kind of have a theme for each page or each month, which we'll talk about in a second. So I picked pink and I just colored all the downstrokes. And then the other like thing that I will say that can kind of just like elevate a page that I find myself doing a lot is I just take my marker and I go all the way around the page and I do like a curved look to it. I like the curved look. So I'll just use, I'm trying to decide what marker I want to use. Yeah, I'll just use this one. So these ones, I'm going to just, to the best I can. And if you have dot grids, it's fun. It's easier to like follow it. I'm just going to make like a little border to just kind of like set up this page. It's a very easy way to just like make the page pop a little bit. And then again, something that I love about marker is you can always like, if something's not super straight, you can always kind of like go back and like thicken any of the lines to like make it curve how you want it to look. Like that one wasn't super straight, so I kind of curved. I just kind of thicken it to make it a little bit, I don't know, more how I wanted it to look. If it's like wobbly or something, you can kind of like thicken it and make it a little bit cuter. I'll just thicken the bottom. And I don't really use rulers. If you want to use ruler, you can. But I, especially with markers, feel like they're very forgiving. Again, you can thicken it, you can like fix your mistakes that way. And so I just kind of use marker and I like go over any of my mistakes and thicken it so that it looks how I want it to look. So look, now we have like a cute border for our notes we're going to be taking. And yeah, we will start with that. Now, notice I split the page in half. So here's kind of like two sides to like the art of bullet journaling. I would say like the one side is kind of like, I guess, the supplies and theme. So I'm going to kind of title this side supplies and theme, and we'll go over like this a little bit more. And then the other like side, so I'm choosing the other side that I would say is like an art with the bullet journaling is honestly just like the planning and journaling side. I actually think that that is an art as well. So you can go as much as you want to on the supplies and theme side, or you can just literally take a pen and that's your theme and just go heavy on the like the journaling side is my art that I'm choosing to lean into because I think they both are like a form of art. So let's start with like this side though, the fun side, the art, the theme, the like what are we gonna do to like make our bullet journal cute? Is maybe we'll start with supplies and then we'll get into theme next. So like we kind of went over last time, I think you asked me this question. You want to start with a nice pen. I would say a black pen, and you want it to be a pen that like you really like. So this is the one that I like. It's this precise V5 rolling ball pen. So I'll write that out if anyone wants to like know the exact pen I like. This precise V5. It's a 0.5 black pen. And it has a lid, which is actually kind of nice because if you do have a spiral bound planner or notebook or bullet journal, you can slip it in the spirals. So that is the black pen that I really, really like. So just find one you really like. Again, take this all as like whatever speaks to you. This is the recommendation I would give though. So the next thing I would say you probably want for like the supplies, and this is like my top thing is markers. Again, you don't have to use markers. I know like one of my clients, she was like, I bought colored pencils and that's what she's using. You can even like, if you wanted to, and if you had the right thickness of paper, use like watercolor. But this is like the basic. If I have markers, I am totally fine. And my suggestion for markers, I think you already have these, Becky, are the Crayola Super Tips.
I've got your pen.
You got my pen.
Yeah.
So awesome.
I've got the markers.
So awesome. And then we talked about this last time too, I think. So these are the Crayola Super Tips, but also I think another popular one are these zebra mild liners. And if you don't have these, I would say these are a little bit more expensive. The Crayola Super Tips are like, I think $8 for like the 50 pack. So if you're like looking to invest in something nice, like these are, and they have good colors, the mild liners, but they're not necessary. That's why I like to suggest this to start, because just buy a pen, buy some markers, and really you can go as hard as you want. Like you can make it, that's how I make mine cute. Mostly because I just don't have as much time as I used to. So one thing I want to say about markers though, and I think I told you this last time, I like to put marker first. Unless I know like I haven't written like for a while. I just when sometimes like if I put the marker second, it'll just bleed my pen and I don't like that. Especially this pen. I mean, it's a nice kind of thick, good pen. So if you put the marker right after it, it might just like bleed. And then it kind of like messes up your your marker as well, because the marker then has like black in the tip. So less bleeding if you do it this way. But again, I mean, you saw me do that one. Like if you wait long enough, it's probably fine. But I just like value my supplies. So I try and keep them nice. And so that's something that I found that keeps them nice. So the next thing that I really like to use with my bullet journal is something called washi tape. Have you ever heard of that, Becky?
Wash?
Washi tape.
No.
So I'm going to show you it. It's this cute, like, tape. This is called washi tape.
It's
And
cute.
yeah, so people love to like decorate their pages with washi tape. So like, for example, on this page, if I were to like decorate with washi tape, I would just take a piece, and I got this at Hobby Lobby. I'm actually pretty picky about the washi tapes that I like. Um, but yeah, this one's from Hobby Lobby. I found it and I was like, oh, this is really cute. And I bought it. But some they're kind of hard to find. You can find some on Amazon pretty easily. This one was on, and I would just like put it almost like in a spot where like it kind of just like fills in space. Like I put it on this. You can change it around though and like see what it looks like, but like you could put it here. You know what? I could even like add one on this side if I wanted to. You just kind of like fill space with it. And another fun thing to do with washi tape is to layer it. So like I have this other like pink one, and this one is really fun. It's again also from Hobby Lobby. It's like a scalloped edge, if you see that. That's kind of a fun
Oh,
shape.
that is cute.
Yeah, so I'll just like layer them on top of each other to kind of give it like a little, I don't know, more of a look. And if you want to, if you don't like the ripped look, I don't mind it. You can of course use scissors. But I don't think the ripped look is that bad. One thing I will say about washi tape is this is a really good thickness. I feel like it it looks okay proportionally. There's lots of washi tape that's like really thin that like
Oh,
it wouldn't look as cute just like down here.
okay.
But of course you could use this thin one for like if you want to like split your page in half, or like you could use this for other things. But for the like decorating, just adding a little here and there, I like this thickness best because there's this small one, there's this like medium one, there's even like a larger one. So I would just like pay attention to the thickness, and then,
Okay.
just like look for ones that fit your theme or your vibe. So like again, I told you I'm choosing pink, so I chose my pink washi tapes. But if you're like if you have a color you like, or just kind of like match it with your vibe.
So is washi tape the brand name or is it just the
That's just
generic
what
name
it's
for
called. That's
whatever?
just like this like decorative tape is just
Okay,
called washi
decorative.
tape. So this is
Okay,
not a brand. This
okay.
is like you can find it at like Walmart. You can find it kind of anywhere.
Yeah,
I do feel like it's just like not easy to find cute ones. I'm actually
okay,
surprised these are from Hobby Lobby, because usually I go to Hobby Lobby and I'm like, I don't really like any of them. But the
okay.
couple times I've gone, I found them. And like I think on Amazon I found I like solid colors. I think on Amazon there's like just some solid color ones. But
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of, if you find cute ones and like let me know, like especially if you find them online. I mean, yeah, they're just I'm just a little bit particular. Like I've been given a lot of washi tape and I didn't think all of it was that cute. So like that's why I'm like, oh, I'm like on the hunt for like what I really like my style. So like for washi tape, I would just say pay attention to thickness, right? Because if you I mean, again, you can get whatever thickness you want. That's just something I've noticed, is that the thin one isn't my favorite.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's see what else. So that's mostly it for like my basics of supplies. Let's talk about next. I mean, I've kind of mentioned it, is just like picking like a theme. I feel like that is like key to just like making or like feeling like you know what you're doing, right? Like washi tape, markers, like what is it even for? If you just kind of like I told you to pick like two or three colors, I feel like that just like helps you. If I've heard this before, like if you limit yourself, then you can like actually be more creative. So like when I pick a theme, I usually pick one like monthly. So like when I set up my month, I'll pick like two to three colors. I mean, it can definitely be more. I've done like six or so, but again, they're all like the same color-ish. Like it'll be like maybe I'll pick like blue and tan, but I'll have like two or three blues and I'll have like two or three tans. So it just kind of like gives me just like restricts me a little bit so that I like can just go creative with those colors and like mix around with different like combinations of those colors. So pick a theme, but the theme can also be like a doodling theme, right? Like I told you this last time. I don't consider myself a huge doodler, but like sometimes I'll just pick a really simple like flower, right? Like most of us can doodle a flower, and like I'll just put one in the corner of each page for that month. One month I did like bears, and it was I like found a head that was really easy to draw, and like that was just like my theme. So like when I say flower, I literally mean you can just like, go back to middle school. Like just draw a flower and that can be your theme. And then you can like enhance it by like going over it with pen if you want. So just like we're not trying to do anything crazy here because I feel like if you like look at people's bullet journals and you're like, I mean, maybe you looked at mine last time and you're like, wow, that was like a lot. Crazy themes. Like, don't go too crazy, especially lately. I'm like, I'm not going to go too crazy because I know it will just like stop me from going for it. So just like pick something not too daunting and like that can be your theme. So I think I got, oh, the other fun thing that you could play with if you're not like a doodler is you could like add stickers, right? Like that's a really easy way to like not feel like you have to draw anything and just like add some color and variety to your page. And so I think I picked like some butterfly stickers that I'm really excited
Well,
for
that's cute.
like one of my themes. Okay, so one more thing I kind of wanted to go over maybe like actually, I guess from your perspective, Becky, do you have any like supplies questions? Do you have any other like do you want me to go more in depth of like supplies?
Let's see, supplies.
Yeah, like is there anything you're like have questions about supplies wise?
Um, no, I mean, I haven't thought of anything.
Okay. Because I mean, yeah, I feel like as long as you are comfortable with what like your setup is, then you're fine. I wanted to show you one more lettering style that I think is pretty easy, and then I think we'll go to the planning and journaling side. So
Okay.
this style of like font, I guess I would say, I call it like bubble, but honestly, like again, I just try and like enhance your natural handwriting because that's what I think like makes it you and like makes it not too difficult, right? Like we're not trying to like of course if you're like at the beginning of your like lettering, like trying to find your lettering style, you can like try and like copy and like come up with cool intense fonts, but for the most part, I just like do what's easy for me. So like for this one, just take a marker. It can be a Crayola super tip. Here, I'll use a Crayola super tip for this one. This
To
one.
open my package, it's brand new.
Oh, open your package.
Yay.
So basically, for this one, all you're gonna do is you can do it either all caps or not. Let's just take your name. So write your name in your handwriting, but maybe space the letters out just a little bit more than you normally would. So like I'll do my name. Again, I'm just like taking my handwriting and I'm just like writing my name like spaced out a little bit,
Okay.
but not too intense. And then go back and like I said, like thicken it a little bit. So now you're like taking your handwriting and making it a bubble font. I feel like when I was younger and would do like lettering, like bubble lettering, I would like start with the, I guess, outside and it always looked funny. But I'm like, why don't I just like take the inside and like just thicken it? Because then it will just look cute. So again, if I ever have like any titles or anything in my bullet journal that I want to bold in a little bit, these are honestly kind of my three like go-to fonts. Is just like taking my handwriting, using a marker with it, or making it like faux calligraphy, or like doing this pen one with the downstrokes. So S's, I always struggle with S's. Something you can do after this, and this is where like maybe one other supply that's kind of fun to play with, I would say, is you could take a white gel pen. Again, it's something you'd probably have to invest in. And you can kind of like make it a little bit more bubbly. So what that means is I just kind of like add a little like, it almost like adds a little like glare. Can you even tell against this color?
A little bit.
Yeah, like you just kind of like add a little, boop, boop, little glare here and there. It kind of makes it look a little bit like a bubble here and there. Or you could do it all the way down the downstroke. Like it's really whatever you want. But this is another like supplies that I would say is kind of fun to play with markers because it just kind of adds another dimension. I think I picked a little bit too light of a color for this to really pop. And then if you want to really make it bubbly, is you could go over it and like outline it with your pen. Sometimes I don't love when I outline, like I don't outline it very cute, but I also think it's kind of fun to like leave a little space. Like it's not like, doesn't have to be perfect. It can kind of just like overlap a little bit and like no stress here on. So that's what I was saying by like, sometimes I would start with this like outside and then color it in. I almost think it's easier to like start with the inside.
That's what you mean by starting with the inside.
Yeah. And then like outline it if you want to. And again, I think it's cute without the outline, but if you want to add a little bit more, just outline it. So those are kind of my lettering tips. We just want it to be like easy enough that you can just like bust it out. I mean, at least for me, like if I was to say like, we'll talk about this on this side, like set up a brain dump page, that means, there's something on my mind. I want to like brain dump it. So I'm not trying to like take a long time to like set up the spread. I'm just trying to like set up a brain dump, like add a few things, and then I can just like get to this side of it, right? Like the actual like what are we putting in our journal? Because I think that is a huge part of like what like the art side of bullet journaling, not just like the pretty like themes and colors and stuff, but like actually putting our writing into it. And so that's also why like with the themes and the I just want you to find what works for you. If you find you hate those Cradle Super Tips, Becky, you ditch them, right? And then what else is I going to say about that? Yeah, we just want this like style to reflect you. You want the handwriting to like reflect you because that's really what this is. It's just you in a journal. And then this side of it, I would say we saw this a little bit in my bullet journaling 101 class, but I'm just going to kind of like, go over it. Where when you set up a bullet journal, there are a lot of different spreads. So I say this word spreads a lot, but like what that means is like usually when I refer to a spread, it's the two pages next to each other and like what am I actually doing with the two blank dot grid pages. So like if I open to a new page and I'm like, what spread do I want to put here? That's just like what I'm talking about. So like what I'm doing with usually two dot grid pages. So if you're in your bullet journal right now, like this is the art of bullet journaling spread. And usually the spread is like before you actually like put your planning slash journaling side of it. So if you haven't been around bullet journaling a lot, there's like a hashtag. In fact, I'll just write this down. Before the pen. Some people don't want to share this side on the internet, right? Like they don't want to put their like what they actually put in their bullet journal on it. So they'll just do the before the pen. They'll just show you how they set it up. And then you don't really like see what they're putting into it. I don't really mind sharing both, but like if you ever hear someone say before the pen, that just means like whatever, like how they set up the spread without any like of their writing or journaling or planning in it. So that's what a spread is. That's what before the pen is. But let's talk about some of the different spreads. So you have a main one, I feel like with bullet journaling is trackers. And you already know this, right? You have been setting up that tracker in your bullet journal. So that's like a bullet journal spread, is that habit tracker that you came up with. So again, there's lots of different trackers you can put in there, and you kind of want to be mindful about like what type of tracker you're putting in it. Do you want it to be a yearly one? Or do you want it to be monthly? Or do you want it to be weekly slash daily? Because, the week and the day are kind of usually in one to me. Oh my gosh, I spelled daily. So just be mindful of that. For some examples of good like yearly ones, I think a period tracker is a good yearly tracker because it's nice to see that like data in a year rather than having to flip through each month. Or a reading tracker, I prefer like a reading overall kind of goal more than like a monthly goal. But a lot of people do monthly habit trackers. So that's a good one to think of for monthly. A weekly and daily one I could think of would maybe be like steps you've taken or like water that you drink each day, right? So again, I feel like this is part of the art. Like when you're tracking these things, you're like starting to see what you valued, what you were focusing on at that time. And looking back, it's just like something really cool to look at. Another spread that I kind of mentioned that I like to do when I'm looking at a blank dot grid page is I like to just do a brain dump. And so sometimes I'll literally like just call it brain dump and then just like put all my thoughts out. Or you can like title your brain dump, right? You could be like business ideas if that's what's like in your mind. So the main thing with this brain dump is you're just trying to like, I would say clear your head. Honestly, with bullet journaling, it is a huge way for me to just like clear my headspace and also with that, I want to say like give me like clarity, mental clarity. Like what's buzzing around in my head and what's really valuable there. Yeah. So that's a fun one to do. Oh, I put this in my notes. I have like a note next to this, and I know you'll relate to this, but I love brain dumping so much that I have created basically a journal to brain dumping, right? I would say that in my mind, this morning pages journal, which I'll talk about in a second. I haven't actually finished that book yet, Becky. I just barely started it. But I have started the morning pages without reading the book, and I feel like I made myself a morning pages journal and I debated calling it a brain dump journal, but I thought morning pages sounded a little bit cuter. So
Yeah.
I am actually probably not going to be doing that many brain dump spreads in my bullet journal. I guess this year slash next year because I've started this morning pages. I feel like that's usually my brain dump. And so if you don't know what morning pages is, basically it's like what you're supposed to do is wake up each morning and just write 3 pages and whatever comes to your mind, you just write it out. I have not been super consistent with the timing just because I have, kids up at different hours, but I usually do it at some point in the day. And I find if I haven't done it, my brain is just like fuzzy. So if you don't have a full journal devoted to morning pages, which is what I am going to be doing, then you might want to set up some brain dump pages just to like figure out what's actually worth putting on your bullet journal planner slash bullet journal. But honestly, something that I'll say if you are doing morning pages is this has been really effective for me to decide what I actually want to put in my bullet journal. In fact, usually I have them kind of side by side, where I'll go in my morning pages and like the things that are like bugging me, like if I see tasks like coming out of that, I'll like transfer those to my bullet journal, and that becomes like what I focus on and during my day or like what I want to accomplish in the day. So I would say besides kind of the trackers brain dump, one of the last spreads that people set up is their weekly spread, which in my opinion is the most important spread in your bullet journal, or I guess most used, most referred to. That's where I usually am in my bullet journal. The yearly, monthly trackers, I'm not like focusing on as much. I'm like really in my weekly spread, figuring out like what I want to be doing. And so we talked about this last time, but I'm also going to write it out here because I feel like it's part of the journaling side. Is this is where like the bullet journal key comes into play. We use that in the weekly spread. And so the key that I use and that has worked for me is any just like bullets I use as a task. And again, you can make whatever symbol you want to be your task. It could be an open square, it could be an open dot. I usually just use a bullet for a task. And then if I've completed it, I usually do a check. I've been into checks lately. But again, that could be an X if you want it to be whatever you want it to be. If I didn't get to a task, if I have an open dot at the end of the week, I will use this arrow like this to move it if it's important to me. So that says move. An arrow means I've moved it. And again, it's kind of like that thing where like if there's a tab open in your brain of a task that you wanted to do and you didn't get it done, you want to feel like you've done something with that task, you like move it if it's still important to you. If it's not important to you, if you're looking at the task at the end of the day and you didn't get to it, then I usually just cross it out because that means, okay, I don't need to think about that anymore. I put it on there, it didn't get accomplished. I'm just going to cross it off. And then to differentiate between a task and an event, I usually use an open circle. So like if there's like appointments on my calendar, phone calls, yeah, events, parties, whatever, I have an open circle. And then I think I'm still in the check phase for if I've attended or completed that event. But again, you can like color that in. For a while. I used to take the marker that I was using and color it in, meaning I did it. It's whatever you want to do to like show that you actually did that event. And if you didn't go to it or if it was canceled, then I would just say like, I would just cross it off. Like, nope, that didn't happen. Or you didn't go to it. So this to me is like a huge part of the journaling side. What two other things I will say that I like to do in my journal is do like a little dash for like a note. But honestly, sometimes I won't even do the dash. I'll just kind of like start journaling. If there's like something that I did that day or like wanted to remember, I'll just write it without any of these symbols. And that to me just tells me that that's something that I thought would be worth looking back on or thinking about for future me, or just recording about my life, because this is like a record of your life as you're living it. And if you want to, you can like highlight things or put a star for if they're important to you. So yeah, I'll usually kind of just like journal or like star things if they were like important to me. And usually that's like when I'm reflecting at the end of the day or the end of the week. So to me, this definitely is part of the art of bullet journaling, because I think what's really cool about bullet journaling as a journal is it's like you're seeing yourself create, right? You're creating your plans for the day, you're creating what you want to be doing with your time that day, and then you're going back and seeing what you actually did. So it's like this really cool, like creating what you want to see happen, but then like recording what did happen if plans got changed, or, because plans always change. So honestly, that's kind of mostly it. I would say that like one key to bullet journaling is taking time to reflect, right? Like pausing, making sure like the things that you're putting in your bullet journal are worth it to you. I like to each week, every Sunday is kind of when I plan. I look over my week, I move things if they're so important, I cross them out if they're not. I usually journal about my kids. That's something that's important to me. But whatever is important to you for that week, you can kind of take a second and reflect on it. I usually like to journal about my kids. And what I've tried to start doing now with that is not even just journaling, but like really thinking about each of my children and being like, okay, what do they need? Because I'm realizing with 3 kids, it's not as easy to keep track of everything in it, like, of course, like day by day, I'm taking care of them, feeding them and stuff, but like big picture, like, okay, what do they need to be learning? What do they need to be practicing this week? I'll kind of take a second to journal about my kids and also like, I guess, prioritize for them what I want them to focus on or what I want to focus on with them the next week. And so that happens with me every Sunday. I haven't been very good at like, I guess, reflecting for myself weekly. I should try and practice that a little bit more. But what I do really good with reflection for myself is monthly. I know each month I like to kind of look over my month, look over the events. At that point, I usually will like journal about it. And I also will add sometimes reflection questions to just like prompt what I'm journaling about. And usually those questions aren't anything specific. I don't have like a list of questions that I like love to refer to when I'm reflecting on my month. Usually it'll be like, let's think. Let me look at my bullet journal if I have like an example. It'll usually be like something's on my mind that I know I want to reflect about, and I'll just kind of give myself a guiding question to like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Like, oh, okay, like Spencer in October, my husband got a promotion. So I wrote, what has it been like with Spencer's new job slash promotion? And so then I can kind of like take that topic and reflect about it. So it's pretty specific to me, the type of reflection questions I come up with. But that's just so that my journaling and reflecting is a little bit more guided. So look at this. Look at
That
this
looks
bullet journal page. It's so fun.
awesome.
I want to see yours.
You see?
My gosh. Wow, yours is so cute. Yours looks cuter than mine.
Oh, I don't know. We've
Well,
got our own
you
handwriting.
and you also have like I'm noticing since I didn't have the dot grid, I'm like, ooh, like you see how the dot grids like help with like
Yeah.
formatting it? So yeah, yours looks so good. You should send me a picture of that afterwards.
It'll probably be on my story.
Yay! Okay, switching back to.
Gotta take a picture. Oh,
Oh, did you want to take a picture of mine?
yeah.
Okay, let me show. I just moved the camera, but I will do it.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Grabbed my camera too. Awesome.
So
Okay.
fun.
Okay. All right.
Okay, do you have any questions for me, Becky?
I do have one question about, okay, before the pen, the hashtag before the pen.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So you're saying that they kind of just map out what their the plan without filling in
Yeah,
it.
so like basically the custom journal that I'm making with you is a whole before the pen spread.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe, for example, if you like picked a theme for January and like colored in the bubble letters and like highlighted a few of like the names or something, added a few stickers. It's basically before you actually start the like planner journal side, what your bullet journal spread looks like.
Okay.
So yeah, like one of the main YouTube artists that I follow that's a bullet journaler, she never shows her like journal planner side. She only
Right.
shows her like before the pen because she's very artistic. Like she like, I told you she does like watercolor. Like if people are like super artistic with it, and that kind of, I feel like, became a trend maybe like 5-ish years ago. When I started, I feel like it was a big trend to like make your bullet journal really like cutesy and fun. And then it was like, wait, actually, what is the point of bullet journaling? And I feel like it's more the like journaling side, but people still really like to do that. So that's why I try and like have a mix of like keep it simple, like making it cute, right? Because
Yeah.
that's fun. I think it's super fun, but it is really more about the planner journal side.
Well, that's what would stop me from doing it is if I had to feel like I was an artist and that's not me. But I do think, like from that book, The Artist's Way,
Yeah,
it
I
is
think
an
so.
expression of expressing my creativity that I didn't know was there.
Really? Like journaling, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. No, I haven't even read the book, but I've like decided that too. I'm like, wait, this is my art. Like
yeah,
it may not, like you said, like I didn't really do anything that fancy or crazy on this spread. And that's kind of how I am. I mean, if I didn't have kids and like, but that's not my phase right now, then I would be probably doing more of like the almost like scrapbooky type, right? Like really making it like super decorative. But this is just like you said, I don't want anything to like stop me from doing it. So that's why I've tried
right.
to make it as simple as possible. That's why I would encourage anyone to just like make it their own. Like, yeah, if something's going to stop you, then just like don't even worry about that. Don't stress about that. Try and just do something that you're excited about is really
And
what,
do what you can do at your stage of life. I
yeah.
mean, because it changes. So don't wait to do it later. Just kind of adapt to what you can do. And
Mm-hmm. Okay, do you want to see my morning pages journal?
yeah, I do.
So I made okay, I will say this, if anyone's listening to you. I don't know if I told you this already. I am not making a custom bullet journal this year to sell to my audience because I'm actually going back to blank dot grid. And I've decided that like I just want people to find what works for them. And so if blank dot grid is what worked for them, great. If not, I would refer them to like your bullet journal or and other like creators that I've made bullet journals with.
Mhm.
I'm not making an actual like custom pre-made one this year. It was a little weird because like that's what I do, but I just felt like it was against what I was trying to do. Like I don't ever want someone to feel like they have to bullet journal a certain way. I want them to bullet journal what works for them. So all I'm doing this year to sell is I'm either going to sell a blank dot grid bullet journal or a morning pages bullet journal. So I ordered my morning pages bullet journal.
Oh, I love the fruit on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was telling you, I love fruit. That's just like my thing. And it's literally just, it says morning
I
pages,
love it.
and then it's just lined pages. So
I
that's
love
going to be, and then I'm also going to have one that says bullet journal on the front, and it'll be dot grid pages.
it. Okay.
And thank you for watching. Anybody who's watching later, thank you for coming, Becky. It's been so fun. And
Well, I love that I got something out of it. So
yeah, isn't
cute.
that fun? That's why I was
Yeah.
like, we're gonna like actually like do a page. So I just think it's kind of fun,
Yeah,
obviously. All of it's fun, but
it is.
if
Thank
I
you.
remember in then the class last time you were like, I want to do the lettering. That's why I was like, I kind of have to separate it. Like, you want people to know what a bullet journal is first, and then we can just dive into like, let's do a page together. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll talk soon.
Have a good night.
Okay, see ya.